Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live weekly chat. And this is the Christmas show. It's the final chat before Christmas. So I hope everyone is feeling very festive and very in the mood. Now, I'm just going to go and find the chat window, which I popped open just a few moments ago. And for those of you in chat already, you will have seen I did pop in and say I will be there in 2 minutes. So I'm going to go straight to the hellos. I do hope a lot of you could make it because of the daytime, day change rather. This is a Friday, not a Saturday, because of Christmas commitments going on. So yeah, so happy Friday to everyone. It seems really weird seeing you all on a Friday. It's still 10 p.m. GMT. So I hope lots of you got the message and that lots of you can join us. If not, we may get some different people in that we haven't seen before, some people that are just online and browsing. So hello to Oh Dear, hello to Betsy, hello to the first Mrs. R, hello to Nina, hello to Vinnie Blair, hello to, oh, it said hi to Betsy, hello to Diamond Danae, hello to Vicky P, and hello to Bettel Sue. And greetings, Merry Christmas to Jamie, our resident moderator. Jamie has very kindly agreed to moderate again for us, so thank you very much, Jamie. I'll just go through the rules really quickly. The main rule is just be kind and friendly to one another. And of course, if you do have a controversial point, you can make it. I'm not going to stop you making controversial points. But if it is, you know, of a slightly offensive nature, then do just say it once and then move on, or else Jamie will have to take action. But basically the rule is just be kind. And of course, you know, if you're watching, just say hello. Even if you haven't got a question, it doesn't matter, just say hi. If you've got a question, then leave it in the comment section. If I'm unable to answer your question straight away, if I seem to have missed it, and if it's really important, type it again. Okay, hello to just me. Nina says there's 114 watching. Wow, I didn't think it'd be quite as big a turnout for a Friday. Aren't people out on a Friday night these days? The first Nizar says hello to you, lovely tiara. Well, it's Christmas. If you can't wear a tiara at Christmas, when can you wear a tiara? Especially with all the brooches that have been going on this week with the royal family, and we'll get to those later. Well, especially the Princess Michael of Kent brooch fiasco that's been going on. So I thought I'd put my battle armour on. As I say in The Crown, as Claire Foy, as the Queen says in The Crown, battle armour on. It's Christmas, it's festive, let's have a bit of sparkle. And for those of you who are into your royal jewels and your royal tiaras, you may notice something a little bit different about this tiara. If I lean forwards, can you see? Have a look. Do you notice anything about it? Have a look. And for those of you who were worried about my site last night, yes, it did go down. I was doing some restructuring on it, so the whole thing went down. But of course, it's back up now, so do not fret. Jamie says, did I go to my PO box? No, I didn't. I wasn't able to go, but I will definitely go tomorrow. And if there is anything to open, I will make a special opening video, because I really enjoyed the special opening video of the royal letter that I made in the week, and we'll talk about that a little bit later too. I hope you saw that video. Diamond Danae says love it. Carol Ricker says getting snow, so it looks like snow for Christmas. I hope we get some in the UK. Are you from the UK? Are we due some snow? Francesca B says good evening, can't believe it's already Christmas. It's fast up on us, it's nearly here. Oh dear says that's okay then. Coach DJ2 says surprised to see you on today, dropping in a bit before you get ready for a Christmas party. I think loads of people over the festive period have got Christmas parties on, family to go and see, so Christmas is always a little bit difficult to schedule these chats. It's bottom of my list to mention, but I will mention it now in case those of you don't get to stick around until the end of the chat. And of course you can always watch any missed bits on catch up. It always goes live onto YouTube straight after I finished live here. I will not be here next week, either on the Friday or the Saturday. I have Christmas and family commitments, which is kind of what I've just spoken about just. and I'm sure you lot probably have your own commitments too. So there'll be no chat next week, but I will be back the week later, back to Saturday, 10 o'clock GMT, which is Saturday the 6th of January. So that is when I will be back. So enjoy a little holiday, enjoy a little festive cheer. Don't drink too much and don't eat too much. Well, actually, you can eat too much. Okay, I'm going to scrap that. Eat and drink as much as you want. Betsy says, thank you for the lovely holiday card. And of course, you're referring to the Patreon card I sent you for being a patron on Patreon. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. And those of you who know, I did spray the envelope with some of my aftershave. And lots of you are saying you could still smell it. It was like scratch and sniff, which is really good. Carol says, no, you're in America. Oh, well, blow it over. Blow the snow over. Jamie says, feels strange to have the chat on a Friday. It feels really strange to give the chat on a Friday. Vinny Blair says, hi, Elliot. Thanks for showing the tiara. Didn't notice it against the white background. And for those of you who haven't noticed, it's almost an exact replica of the Queen's Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. And if you look closely, when in shadow or sparkle, the little figures look a little bit like girls holding hands dancing, which is why it's called the Girls of Great Britain tiara. And I will show you something later about the tiara that's a little bit different. I've still got a bit of a cough, so do excuse me if I do. But I'm feeling a lot better than last week. My voice hopefully will hold up a little bit better. Oh dear says, loved your card from His Royal Highness Philip. Show us again. Well, funny you should say that. I have it here. And no, the EP does not stand for my own initials. It does indeed stand for Elizabeth and Philip. There was me wishful thinking. There's the front of it. It looks so amazing. I was so overjoyed when I received this in the post. If you want to see the video of me opening this live, then go a few videos back and you will find it. It's from Buckingham Palace. And I'll just hold it up there so you can see. There's two photos. And it says, from Buckingham Palace, Prince Philip and I thank you for your kind words on the occasion of our 70th wedding anniversary, Elizabeth R. And it did come with a letter too. So I thought that was really sweet, and I actually have it on my side table where I sit in my living room, so I can see it all Christmas long. Nicole says, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you too. Vicky P says, enjoy Elliot. Jamie says, you're supposed to be royal, say drink loads of gin and dubonnet. Jamie says, made me chuckle when you said Ireland. Vicky P says, that is so exciting. Francesca B says, Sandy can't be here in time. She had to pick her kiddies up. But I'm sure she can watch on catch up, so that's okay. We will forgive her. First Mrs. R says, I really did think they were personalising a certain percentage of cars this year. Well, who knows? I mean, we have the same initials, EP and EP. I'm going to like to think that it's my own personalised card. I'm going to convince myself it is, even though I know it's not. Mariana Martin says, hello from Portugal. Just subscribed a couple of days ago and I'm loving your channel. Merry Christmas. Thank you for subscribing and I'm really glad that you're enjoying it. Jamie says, Francesca B, you are Sandy's spokesperson. Francesca B says, yes, she asked me to do it. Mary Wisecup says, Merry Christmas, like the tour as well. Thank you. Jamie says, you pronounced Ireland like Ireland. 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 It's the posh. I've been watching too much Claire Foy, okay? Too much Claire Foy has made you say one would like to do. One would like to do one's washing up in one's gloves. Yeah, so I've been going around saying one all the way. Do let me know if you can do the Claire Foy Queen accent. Let me know. Just Me says, love your Christmas tree, nicely decorated. Thank you. It's a tree that my nan got me before she passed away. She's been passed away 6 years. I've had the tree for 12. And it's just this year got an update in fresh decorations. So it's the same tree, but different white decorations to match my tree in the other end of the house. Now, the tree in the other end of the house, you saw on my snow tour, but you will also see again, it will feature very prominently in my Royal Reviewer Christmas message, which will go live on Christmas Day. I've already pre-recorded it, I've pre-uploaded it, and I've scheduled it to go live at 3 o'clock GMT time, the same time as the Queen's message goes live. You can tune in and watch mine. So I do hope you watch the Queen and you also watch me too. And I don't mind which order you do it in. Do it whichever order you want. But I do hope you enjoy my Christmas message. Jamie says, you can see the television through the flag. I thought I turned it off. Let me see. I've turned it off. Oh no, it's skipping. Oh no, hang on. I'm having flag trouble. I shouldn't have peeked. Oh no, it's going. Right, okay. Is that gone? Yay, okay. Flag is okay. Flag is 100% up. I can't have flags slippage. I'm not having any flag slippage. That's a tongue twister. And it nearly went completely wrong. Odia says, what about the 90,000 US see-through, $90,000 dress that Meghan was wearing, tottering around Frogmore? And you think it's a little bit Bill Mackey, a bit Cher at the Oscars. Well, of course, Meghan and Harry released their official engagement photographs. And initially there was 2. So I made a video of the first 2. And then about 2 or 3 hours later, Meghan and Harry were so happy and just so excited, I think, about all the positive responses they got from the 2 photos. They issued a third, which was never meant to be released. It was just one that they took in the grounds. And it was a thank you to all the fans for all the kind words. So I ended up making 2 videos about the engagement photos. So do go and watch them both if you want. They are slightly different, and I thought the photographs were lovely. There was 1 in colour and 2 in black and white. Meghan in some of them looked like she wouldn't let go for dear life. I mean, she had Harry by the hand. I mean, she was not letting go in those photos. She had him in her grips and she was not letting go. She was like, girl, I have my man and I am not letting go. Okay, I'm just not letting go. And that is a really terrible American accent. I think I'll stick with one. I'll stick with one tonight. But yes, she was not letting go. She was clinging on for dear life, as if her tiara and ring and everything depended on it. But it looked gorgeous. I mean, they looked such a sweet, in love couple. You know, Harry looked besotted. She looked completely besotted with him. And I did notice there was something slightly significant about the location, which of course was Frogmore in Windsor. And of course, Frogmore is pretty much kind of right next to Windsor Castle. It's not far away. It's on the same kind of, you know, rather large tract of land. And it's always been a royal household. It's had usage. I think it was last used in the 30s or something like that. And it was renovated quite a high cost in the 1990s. Nobody has lived there royal for a long time. It is open a few days of the year for tourists, but basically it's vacant. It's owned by the Crown Estates, and it can, as it has been in the past, be loaned or let to a member of the royal family. And I'm thinking that Harry and Meghan may have been giving us a little clue in the location of the photograph. Perhaps there's been lots of speculation over where they're going to live, apart from Kensington Palace being their London, Nottingham Cottage in Kensington Palace, their London home. Where will be their country or their sort of weekend retreat or holiday retreat? Lots of speculation that he might buy a house, or there might be one that Prince Charles has got under the Duchy of Cornwall. But no, I think it could be Frogmore. I think they were dropping us a big fat clue. It's vacant. It's at royal disposal. It's big. It's very, very big. And I think possibly Frogmore could be a home. And I will make a video about that in the week, possibly tomorrow. But just a little heads up in the live chat, I do think that Frogmore House could be the home. But we will have to wait and see. Nothing is confirmed. But I do think it's a big, massive, big fat clue. I'm just going to go up now and see if I can read some of your comments. Here we go. Hang on. Carol Ricker says she's worn worse clothes. Tim says Meghan and Harry are all over the news here in the USA. Nina says, I don't know about the rest of you, but you think Princess Michael's brooch is ugly. Well, it's certainly controversial, and we'll get to that soon. Okay, the first Mrs. R. Oh, Jamie says, joking made you look, and then it fell down. The first Mrs. R says, someone out in YouTube land has a series of videos on how to speak like Claire Foy in The Crown. Well, I will have to look at them. I can brush up on my wham. Jamie says, oh no, what have I done? I've destroyed the set. You have, you naughty boy. Vinnie Blair says, really, that's some 2020 vision, can't see it. Tim says, hey, we are on to date. We are indeed. Vinnie Blair says, oh, it's not see-through. The dress is lined with flesh-coloured fabric. Well, I didn't think she'd wear see-through for her official engagement photos. Vicky P says she probably borrows the dress. Sometimes celebrities borrow and give back. They do indeed. But I actually thought the bottom half of it was a little bit Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson from the Scream video with all the little spiky, knobbly bits. Diamond Dene says, love those photos. Odia says, I like the dress for Hollywood, but not so much for the engagement. She was hanging on for dear life for sure. Landed a big one. And there was me thinking I would be the next Duchess. My heart is broken. Jamie says, I think it's sad that people find things like that brooch offensive. And well, I will get to that as soon as I get to the bottom of these comments. We will definitely speak about it. Tim Ducky says, lots of laughter, your American accent. Love it. Vicky B says, that's not California. I have no idea what accent it was. Believe me, I was not going for any one accent. Although I think maybe it's like those sort of bikini girls at the beach, maybe. A little bit bikini girl. Tim says, a bit Baywatch, maybe. Tim says, I have never liked Princess Michael. Well, I've always liked her. I've always thought she's been the royal that I could probably have a sit down and a bit of a natter with. Okay, let's talk about the brooch. I can't hold the brooch up any longer. So she wore a racially insensitive brooch, or a brooch that's considered to be racially insensitive by today's modern standards and values. And I think everyone is going to have their own personal opinions on whether they find it offensive or not. But I think the general consensus is that it's probably a bit misguided that she wore it, and probably a little bit out of date and maybe out of touch. I think that's probably fair to say. I mean, probably anything that's, you know, even slightly racially insensitive, controversial, you should probably stay away from. And of course, she wore this brooch at the Queen's Christmas lunch, which was attended by all of the extended British royal family. Meghan Markle broke protocol. She was there. Protocol is just going straight out of the window with this engagement. So Meghan was there, and she wore this, what they're calling, and it is a slightly offensive term. I am going to say it because we're talking about it in an objective way, and we are adults, and I do think that we are responsible enough to be able to discuss these words objectively. She wore what is known as a blackamoor brooch, or a blackamoor piece of jewellery. It's a certain type and style of jewellery which was popular once, many moons ago, and completely, as is understood, has fell completely out of favour, is considered racially insensitive, and I think everyone was just a little bit shocked that Princess Michael had worn it, especially when she's had racial controversy in the past. So it was probably a little bit misguided to have worn it in such a public way. And of course, all the photographers got their cameras out and started flashing, and you know, some people got the shot through the window, even though the cars were moving very fast. And like I say, it kind of just leapt out of the picture. And some people are saying, why would she wear it when she was going to meet Meghan Markle, who is of mixed heritage? Her mother is black, her father is white. You know, it just screams slightly insensitive, and you know, some people may cringe even at it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If indeed you are of mixed heritage or you are black, please let me know what you think. Do you find it offensive? It would be interesting to know your thoughts. However, I should point out that today, only a few hours ago, Princess Michael issued a statement to say how very sorry she is, and that it's a brooch that she's had for a very long time. She's worn it on many occasions. It was a present, I do believe, and she says that she's very sorry and, you know, deeply upset for any offence that's been caused, and she's going to retire it from her collection and not wear it again. So at least she's apologised. I mean, you know, she has had the good grace and the guts to come out there and apologise. So, you know, I hope people don't hold it against her too much. A Palace insider was saying something along the lines of that offence was not intended towards Meghan, it wasn't intended to be offensive. But that's basically the facts of the story. Over to you guys, discuss, or if you're watching on catch up, discuss in the comment section. Do let me know your thoughts. James Med4 says something went wrong on YouTube. I'm late. The Cambridges look great, all in blue. Yes, there was another photograph released, an official photograph of the Cambridges, of course, including George and Charlotte. And I think it's one of the first Christmas cards they've all been on together. So it's for their Christmas card. Hopefully, I will be receiving it when I get my reply, which I will open for all of you live, of course. I liked the photo. Some people were saying it felt a little bit stiff, a little bit formal. They have had some other less formal Christmas cards in the past and photographs. Lots of people comparing it to other European royals who looked a lot more relaxed in the snow, or, you know, on sofas with their hands around each other. So this one was very formal, but very much also kind of in the modern style, like how the Queen and Philip's anniversary photo was. If you can remember, it was the grey silver background. So kind of following a theme, I think. But I liked it. It was formal. Maybe next year they'll go for informal. So those of you who like a little bit more informality in a photo will possibly get your wish next year. Maybe, we'll see. But yes, I liked it. Please let me know what you thought. And on the same day, they announced which nursery Princess Charlotte would be attending, which is Wilcox Nursery, and she will be starting it in January. Okay, oh dear says, right next to Mrs. Simpson. Yes, Frogmore House is indeed next to the royal burial ground at Frogmore. Betsy says, keep talking with the American accent, it's hilarious. I can't keep talking with it. I can't keep it up. Okay. Okay, I'll try the American accent, but please, no offense taken. The first Mrs. R says, well, I thought the pictures were just gorgeous, very glamorous, but yeah, she does tend to hang on him like she's a pine, and she's an, okay, that's terrible. Like he's a pine and she's an ornament. I can't do an American accent. Maybe I'll stick with the beach girl. Nina Shub says, I don't find it offensive, it's just ugly. And of course, we're talking about the brooch. Mary Wisecap says, Mary from Colorado again. Harry and Meghan, nice engagement pictures. Just Me says, with something clingy in the third picture. Beautiful pics. Vinnie Blair says oh, hang on. It skipped. It skipped. Hang on. Let's go back up. Okay, I think I missed quite a few comments. Here we go. Oh no, I haven't misplaced. Vinnie Blair says she probably paid a minimum fee for the dress in lieu of the $1 million global advertising protocol. She'll probably can't accept gifts. It probably was a lend or a very nice borrow. Francesca B says the pictures are wonderful. I cried a river. Tim says, does anyone think Meghan is more attractive than Catherine, or about the same? Well, they're different. I mean, they're similar in the fact they've got dark hair, and you know, they kind of wear clothes in a kind of sort of way. But I think Meghan is a little bit more slightly bohemian than Catherine. But we'll see as her royal style develops. Oh dear says, I thought the Westons were living in Frogmore. No, it's been vacant. When I looked it up, it said it was vacant. Shari Natalie says, hello, I love the photos. Harry and Meghan are beautiful together. First Mrs. R says, isn't Frogmore where all of the graves are? Yes, it's a cemetery and house. So the house is kind of like next to the cemetery, but it's still a really lovely, peaceful place. Odia says, living in Frogmore is like living in a cemetery. Coach says, I thought Frogmore was a rather odd place to photograph engagement photos. I thought Frogmore was a mausoleum cemetery. The royals still use it for private occasions. There have been some engagement parties there. You know, maybe Harry and Meghan's engagement party could be at Frogmore instead of Windsor Castle. That's another option. Or it could be that they're going to live at Frogmore. It's vacant and it is at the Crown Estate's disposal. Nina says, I think she was holding on to Harry because of her high heels. She was probably sinking in the grass. Vicky P says, yes, her shoes were probably giving her some trouble. Odia says, the model who wore the dress on the runway was, it was clear her was seen through the netting. This is a family show. But I think the models on the runway and in shows do wear the clothes slightly different. Meghan could obviously have had a piece of nude material inserted to preserve her modesty. Jamie says, I thought the bottom of it would be a nice throw to put on the end of the bed. Well, I'm sure if they've got cats or dogs, they will be in heaven. Vicky P says, did Queen Charlotte own Frogmore? I think I heard that. Yes, I do believe it was. Vinnie Blair says, I've always hoped Harry would be Frogmore, but then I researched the furniture and it really is expensively furnished. Plus it has toured by the public only for a few days a year. And they can still keep it open like they do Buckingham Palace whenever Harry and Meghan are not there. So Meghan and Harry could always just make sure they're not there for that week where it's open. A little bit like when the Queen goes off to Balmoral for the summer holidays and the palace is open to the public. So I don't think that would be a problem necessarily. Oh dear says, lots of laughter. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Exactly. Why would anyone wear a fluffy dress like that out in a cemetery? Tim says the brooch was ugly. Of course, we're talking the Princess Michael brooch. Vicky P says, I don't think Meghan would have seen it. It was in her coat. Well, it was on Princess Michael's coat, a little bit sort of in this position. But if they took Princess Michael's coat off when she got in, then she may not have seen it in, if that makes sense. Oh dear says, offensive or not, it was certainly ugly. Lots of people not liking the style of it. Betsy says, it's all over the news now, so Meghan knows now. Well, she would. Jamie says, he thinks it was nice. Chanel says, but to a Christmas lunch. Vicky P says, sometimes family can be embarrassing, but what can you say? Francesca B says, I thought she is just in the wrong decade. That piece is of a certain time, and that time is not now. Betsy says it's a tasteless move. Vinnie Blair says, hang on, let me go up again. I always thought she was racist, but in this instant, I think she was trying to impress Meghan with her so-called appreciation of all things black. Do you know what? I think that is probably a very distinct possibility. And I think it's that way of looking at racism and acceptance and probably trying a little bit too hard, and maybe being slightly removed and out of touch from what's acceptable and not, is what's got her into hot water in the past with some of the things that she said to try and make, you know, to sort of put out that she's not racist, and it's kind of made her look more racist. It's kind of, she put her foot in the mouth. But I think you hit the nail on the head. I think she was trying to impress, but it kind of backfired. And yes, it's out of touch and misguided, I think. Odious says they are the whitest of all white aristocrats, so one does wonder. Tim says, I bet anything they'll be pregnant within 6 months of the wedding. Probably. Who knows what happens in the royal bedchamber? Chanel Chateau says, why would you wear it to a Christmas lunch? As we've discussed, possibly to impress Meghan. A bit of a strange move, but possibly to impress. Jamie says, I bet Philip thought it was the nicest brooch he's ever seen. He probably did. God bless Philip. Gotta love him. The first Mrs. R says, I think Prince Michael wouldn't even think about the social implications of if she wears what she wears or owns. And of course, I think he meant Princess Michael. Tim says, come on, Princess, wear a Christmas tree or a snowman. But a woman's head, weird. It could have been a man. Could have been a man's head. To be honest, the photos were fairly blurry. So you perhaps couldn't make out the gender, but I've got a feeling it was a male. I've got a feeling it was depicting a male, definitely. Vicky P says, I don't know who she was until today, so she is now in the news. Bravo to her for making the news, I guess. I think this is one news she would rather not make, but let's put it out there again. She has apologized. And that's probably one of the reasons why I made the video too, was obviously to inform you of the facts of what had happened, but also that she had apologized. And I did hold off on the story slightly because I always thought it was going to be a developing story, and it did indeed develop. And she has ended up by apologizing and saying she's no longer going to wear it. It's retired. It's finished. Vicky P says, I don't know. Oh, I've read that one. Odia says, I hope you get a card of the Cambridges in their blue outfits. And they were very matching, weren't they? Very, very matching. Just Me says, if Meghan did see it, she didn't care. Meghan, another point to put out there, Meghan has spoken very openly about the racism she has faced, both as a child and as an adult. And that may be one of the causes that she takes on with her royal duties. We will have to wait and see. The first Mrs. R says, objectively, yes, it is an offensive image, but it wasn't done to offend. Nothing is wrong with ignorance that can be addressed. And Prince Michael did just that. Or Princess Michael did just that. Odia says, I did think it was a little stiff, but you do have two wiggly children to contend with. Glue them down. That's my answer. Glue their feet. Jamie says, I still don't get why it's racist. If I go around carrying a big picture of a black person, is that racist? No, I think it's all about the intent. I definitely think the intent is there. I think it's more the historical background and significance behind the imagery that makes it offensive. It's associated with the days of slavery. And I think it's that style of jewelry is always going to be associated with that. And I think that's what the problem is. Vinny Blair says, most of the time people don't intend to offend. They are either ignorant or misguided. Anyway, apology or not, you can't like this woman. Too arrogant for you. Vicky P says the photo wasn't very Christmassy, but it was very nice, of the Cambridges. Betsy says, read up on the history of that type of jewellery. Although I did give you a little bit of information in the video. James Medford says the brooch could be a subconscious act. Jamie says, I think Harry and Meghan will be the couple of breaking traditions. Well, it already seems that way. Ever since their engagement, when Harry issued that statement trying to protect her, there's been a series of breaches of protocol. So much so that it's almost like they are literally rewriting what protocol is. And of course, that does happen from time to time. And I do think we're going through a sea change, and we are going through a redefinition of what is protocol. And we know that's definitely going on because people on social media who worked for the palace years ago no longer work for them, are retired, kept saying over and over again, the palace will do it this way, the palace will do it that way, because this is tradition, this is protocol. And what's happened is none of it's happened. You know, none of that is standing anymore. Everything's changing. So I think we just have to kind of accept that protocol is shifting, as it does. You know, this is how the British monarchy modernizes and stays relevant. Every now and again, there is movement. And this is a time when we are going through some of that movement, some of that modernization of the British royal family and their protocols. Just Me says, no, the brooch, I didn't find it offensive. Kent is an old, bitter person. Vicky P says, I'm from the south and you got it. Did I? The accent, really. First Mrs. R says, Jamie, it's not that it's a picture of a black person, although none of us have jet black faces. It's that it's a depiction of a slave, as I said, as an ornament. Yes, and we have to remember the brooch is an adornment to an item of clothing, and that's where the controversy lies. Mariana Martin says, what about Camilla wearing Queen Victoria's Hess Diamond Jubilee brooch? Shouldn't that be guarded by a queen regnant and not a future queen consort? Well, okay, do watch that video so you know what I'm talking about. But Camilla has worn this week, or rather last week, I think it was actually, the Hess diamond and sapphire brooch, and it was one given to Queen Victoria by her grandchildren. But it was given to her round about 4 years before she died, and of course Queen Victoria died in 1901, and she didn't wear it, or if she did, she was never photographed wearing it. And basically from that point on, from when she was given it, or rather from her death, I suppose, until when Camilla wore it for the first time, following Camilla's marriage to Charles. I think Camilla's worn it about 3 times since then, with last week being the third occasion, I do believe. So it wasn't seen in over 100 years, this brooch. I don't know why. Maybe it wasn't in favour. Maybe the Queen consorts didn't like it. But anyway, it was not used until didn't see the light of day until Camilla wore it. So it's believed that it was in the Queen Mother's collection, but the Queen Mother didn't wear it. Of course, that was inherited by the Queen, who didn't wear it. But we do know that Camilla has had on long-term loan the bulk, if not all, but probably the bulk of the Queen Mother's jewellery collection, which she wears. So of course that's how it's come to be in Camilla's possession, and obviously Camilla likes it and she started wearing it. So it is quite a historic brooch, and one that we don't see that often. So do go and watch that. And I'm just going to, okay, hang on. Let's go up. Okay. Coach says, don't feel bad about the American accent. I can't pull off an English one at all. Chanel says, yeah, Google is a terrible thing to waste. Vinnie Blair says, Her Majesty, that Philip comment is funny. The First Mrs. R says, it would be as if she wore a pin with someone's Irish or Welsh in rags. It's a comparison. Jamie says, the brooch was a slave. Never thought slave would have worn gold with a gold fruited hat, as was depicted in the brooch. That style of jewellery, I believe it was adorned with jewels because it was made for the wealthy. And of course, as we know, the wealthy were the ones that could afford to partake in the slave trade. And that's probably, you know, another thing that's very controversial and unsavory about it, because of course slaves weren't necessarily treated with respect and dignity and wealth. You know, slavery has its roots with very menial work. So it's kind of a bit of a contradiction, and I just think in this day and age, very misguided. Betsy agreeing, it's a style of jewellery that glorifies slavery, with houseboys, etc. Jamie Goss Forever says, hey, I'm so glad I'm here. Hello to Jamie. Oh, not Goss, Gross. Jamie Gross Forever. Odia says, I usually like Charles and Camilla's Christmas cards. They are often very informal. They look happy and relaxed. Yes, Charles and Camilla had their own new Christmas portrait photograph released. So that's another video you can watch on new Christmas portraits. James Metaphor says, there has been talk that Harry would take over Highgrove, but Prince of Wales loves it. So this may be a sign Charles will not give Highgrove up. I have a feeling he won't. I'm not necessarily sure that Harry or William, for that matter, doesn't necessarily want Highgrove. So it could be retained by Charles as a holiday home. Odia says, Betsy, thank you for that info on the brooch. I will read up on it. Coach says, just a comment about the luncheon. I was so surprised to see how much older Princess Margaret's grandchildren are now. I haven't seen Charles and Margarita in ages. Yes, I mean, they're all growing up. And Lady Louise Windsor, she's blossoming, you know, into a young lady, into a young woman. All the children are growing up. We're getting old. Time is passing. And these occasions are really good times in the year when we can look at the family and see them all. A little bit like Trooping the Colour when they're on the balcony. It is really good to see them all out and about and how much they are changing. Again, lots of people saying from the new photograph of the Cambridges that Charlotte looks like the Queen. I remember when she was a baby, I kept saying, oh, I think she looks a bit more like Diana. Some people were saying she looks like the Queen, and I was thinking, well, maybe the face shape looks a bit more like Diana. Now, in the latest photo, I can see the Queen. I admit I can see the Queen. Who knows, as Charlotte gets older, she may kind of change again. But I still think out of all the royals, the Queen and Diana are the ones that I think she looks like the most. And I think that's probably because of William's perhaps shaped face. But I think maybe she definitely has the Queen's eyes. Okay. Nina says, is there a video about Frogmore House? I want to see it now. I will make one. I will make one as much as I can about Frogmore House. Without going there to visit myself, I can't do video footage, but I will try and source some decent photographs to show you the history of the house and what it's like now, if I can. So have a look. First Mrs. R says, I think at this point the news is making a storm in a teapot. Jamie says, I have a habit of finding everything funny, that's all. And you don't see the need to be so publicly outraged. Vinnie Blair says, wonder what Her Majesty thinks of her lunch getting this kind of publicity. I don't know. First Mrs. R says, I'm not sure most of us, myself included, have said or done something insensitive without meaning to. You just learn and move on. And Jamie continues, I think the term offence is used much too loosely in modern society. We have lost what true offence is. Sure, it could be offensive to some people, but that's not the same as being offended. Well, I kind of agree with you there, because I do think being offended is a human emotion. It's an emotion that we all feel, and I don't think we should ever be denied the emotion of being offended. I don't think necessarily being offended is the problem. I think people are being offended these days over some slightly silly things. But I don't think even the most hardened of, conservative thinkers are ever going to say that slavery is one of those things that you can't be offended by. It's kind of a bit like the Holocaust. You know, you could be as, you know, liberal as you want or conservative as you want, but no, I just think slavery is one of those things. It's not okay. Francesca B says, do you think Mia could be one of the Flower Girls? Possibly. It's a possibility. And let's not forget Meghan's family. She may have some young people in mind that could help. Odia says, Harry doesn't really have anything to lose. He won't be king and has always bent the rules with his partying, etc. He certainly made the news in Canada with his hotel parties, not the strip poker. My goodness, my eyes. I've never been able to do a Google search since. Some things once seen can never be unseen. Okay, first Mrs. R says, I think Harry and Meghan will be like Princess Margaret and Lord Snowdon. More glam jet set. William and Catherine will be king and queen, so their image is more. Yes, I mean, they will certainly have a lot more freedom, but they've said they will be going into full-time royal duties. Meghan's already been doing some, well, one engagement very early on in the engagement announcement. So I do think, you know, when you're doing public work, you are still held up on that pedestal for open criticism. So they'll have to be careful. But yes, you are right. They won't have quite the same restrictions as William and Catherine. Okay, Jamie Grows Forever says, please tell me, what is your opinion of Camilla? Well, I've always thought that actually, if her boys can accept her, if Diana's boys can accept Camilla, which they did, you know, as we know, Charles married Camilla in 2005. William and Harry were active in support of the wedding. They were out tying cans to the back of the wedding car. They looked very happy for their father. I think they're happy that their father's happy. I actually think Camilla is a good woman. You know, she gets on quietly. She doesn't say a lot. She does her duty. She works hard. And I think in the days of Diana, with the relationship breakdown, I think Camilla was happy to be a mistress. I don't think she ever coveted being queen or even being married to Charles. I think she was just happy to have Charles when she had him. Just happy as long as she had some of Charles. You know, I even think Camilla would have been perfectly happy if Diana had turned around and said, okay, let's share him. I think Camilla would have been perfectly happy with that. As we know, Diana wasn't that sort of woman. She wasn't into the whole mistress thing. Diana wanted Charles to herself. She wanted to be loved, which is fine. That's, you know, that's how most people are in today's modern world. But of course, both Diana and Charles were both slightly broken, slightly damaged people who both had very similar needs, which I think stems from rejection, a little bit of rejection. Diana, who openly admitted that she was never able to get out of her mind the crunching on the gravel of her mother's footsteps as her mother walked off and left because of the divorce. Charles, on the other hand, had an absent mother slightly, particularly in the early days, because of her royal duties. So both slightly damaged, both slightly with the same problems, both needing a strong person to be the rock and support for one another. But of course, when you've got the same problem, you both can't be the rock. And I think that's fundamentally where the marriage breakdown problem stemmed from, was the fact that they weren't compatible because they both couldn't support each other. They both had the same need. So I think Charles obviously turned to the woman who is very stable and very rock-like, and that is Camilla. And she gave him what Diana couldn't. And likewise, Diana didn't get from Charles what she needed, so she sought it in other areas, and we all know the story from then. I think it was a doomed relationship from the start, not because Charles and Diana were different, but because they were very similar. And I think William and Harry know that, and they're just happy for their dad to be happy. And had Diana lived, who knows? Diana could be happy in her own life too, and we could be in a situation where we have a happy Diana and a happy Charles. We aren't going to know. Diana's story was cut short, but we do know what happened with Charles, and why should Charles go unhappy forever? If they're happy together, then they're happy together. The boys are happy, we should be happy. Let me know your thoughts. Odia says, Camilla has worn a number of pieces from the Queen Mother's collection. I think Charles likes to see them worn by her. Yes, I agree. And I think when Charles was going through some of his own absent mother issues, the Queen Mother was his rock. She was very strong, very stable, as she was for George VI, the husband. She was a tower of strength for Charles, especially when he was at Gordonston. He used to go to, I think it was Burke Hall on the Balmoral estate from Gordonston at the weekends, and he used to say that that was the Queen Mother was the only way that he got through it, because she kept giving him these pep talks. So I think, you know, he definitely needs that strong, stable woman behind him, and I think he sees exactly the same qualities in Camilla, exactly the same. I mean, like I say, she is very rock-like, very stable. So yes, I think he does like to see those jewels reincarnated back to life on Camilla, because it reminds him of his grandmother, who he loved terribly, and I'm sure misses dearly. Betsy says, let's leave the Nazis out of this. Does not pertain to the subject. It kind of does when comparing horrendous, horrific treatment of people. You know, one was obviously, you know, the gassing and mass killing. The other was the, you know, the enslaving of people. Two immensely horrendous things that should not be celebrated in any way, shape, or form in today's world, or even in yesterworld. Just no. Spicy Homegirl says, oh, that message was deleted. Oh no. Jamie says, the first messages are, what's Irish and Welsh got to do with rags? Okay, Vicky P says, I read today that Princess Michael's father was a Nazi officer. If so, that may change my mind on why she wore it. That really makes me uncomfortable if that is true. I have to say, I don't know on that score. I haven't looked into necessarily her father, so I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. So we will refrain from comment on that one. First Mrs. R says, I know that many people think the concept is overused, and I don't know, it might be. I also know that media people are pushing back on things that should have always been offensive. Betsy says her father was a Nazi and it was before her time. She has spoken about her father. She's not a Nazi. Okay, so Betsy obviously knows, so we'll go with Betsy on that one. Jamie Grows Forever says, I don't think William or Harry will want Highgrove. I don't either. When their mother married their father, Highgrove was supposed to be Charles and Diana's family home. That never really happened. No, it didn't. And for the same reasons, I don't think they will necessarily want it. Vicky P says, at Betsy, that gives some relevance and context. Diamond Danae says, it's lovely to see everyone. Jamie says, Jamie Grows Forever says, I see the Queen in Charlotte as a child. First Mrs. R says, the English did not have a record of treating both groups rather poorly in the past. First Mrs. R says, Charlotte's eyes and mouth are the Queen's for sure. Betsy says, I don't think she is, but it may be why people think it's not okay that she wore her brooch. Jamie says, imagine the Queen was your nan and you pop in every Sunday for a quick cuppa in the Great Hall at Windsor Castle at 1 o'clock. Vicky P says, Charlotte and George are so adorable. They are indeed. And growing up fast, as everyone has been saying. Betsy says, does Meghan need to curtsy to family now? She's still American. What's the proper etiquette? Yes, she would. because she's not married into the family. When she's with Harry, she won't have to curtsy to anyone who has a lower status than Harry or rank in the order of precedence. If she's on her own and she meets royals, she will have to curtsy to those above her in the order of precedence, if that makes sense. Jamie's Gross says, I saw Harry's bum from those leaked pictures. He has a lovely bum. Lucky Meghan. Lucky indeed. Coach DJ says, are the minor royals such as Lord Frederick Windsor, Lady Gabriella, etc. invited to Sandringham for Christmas? If they do, they pop up fleetingly. I don't believe they stay because Sandringham is limited on space through staff and family staying. It is usually the main key royals, the key members of the family that stay. Of course, Animal Hall is used for William and Catherine and Prince George and Princess Charlotte. Possibly they could put up Harry and Meghan, but no, the extended family won't necessarily be joining them because of space. It's just a space issue. Like in all families, there is only so much space at the table, so much space in terms of rooms. It's a big house, but it's a big family. So no, probably not, which is why the Queen has this luncheon pre-Christmas, so that she does get a chance to see everybody, the whole extended family. Jamie says, I think if Camilla outlives Charles, she'll prove a strong figure to William in his first few years as king. Betty says, yes, Jamie, Americans are not the Queen's subjects, so we do not need to curtsy. No, that is true. But I spoke about this, I think, in a comment earlier in the week. Americans or non-British citizens are not required to curtsy, but a lot still do. Yes, out of deference, yes, out of manners, but sometimes if it's a different custom, people like to adopt it, even if it's one that's harks back to a kind of bygone age, but it does still go on within the royal family, and of course indeed with the royals to each other. But some foreign people do still like to do it, even though it's not a requirement. So we haven't seen Meghan necessarily curtsying yet, but when she's married, she will be expected to behave as the royals do. Jamie agrees. Well, it's considered polite when you're not a subject to curtsy to the Queen, so she'll do it out of politeness, which is what I've just said. So I completely agree with you. Nina confirming what I've said. You're American, and if you ever met the Queen, you would curtsy too. So I think that just about kind of sums up what I said. The first Mrs. R says, I think you have a very perceptive take on Charles and Diana's marriage. It was a sad situation all around, and of course ended in tragedy for Diana. Betsy says, gotcha, Jamie, thank you. First Mrs. R says, I do think that he and Camilla were having an emotional affair before it became physical. I know that at the time of her death, Charles and Diana were co-parenting very well. Yes, I think he's had an emotional connection with Camilla from the time they dated when they were young. I don't think that ever necessarily went away. Jamie says, at Betsy, and also I'm sure she wants Grandma's fat check at the end of each month. We do not know how fat the check. Diamond Danae says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to Royal Reviewer and to all. Hello and Happy Christmas to you too. Jamie Grows Forever says, I love the monarchy and I love your channel. You are so eloquent and well informed, impartial and educated. Thank you so much. To what honour do I owe this heaped praise? We're not used to such praise in Britain. Oh dear says, I think the Queen Mother was a very good mother to Charles in the absence of his own mother. Do you think Camilla had a more happy childhood than Charles did? Yes. Basically, I do. Jamie says, isn't an emotional affair just friendship? kind of, but I think, you know, the emotional connection between Charles and Camilla obviously had romantic undertones, I think. Unless, of course, you have romantic undertones with your friends. Vicky P says, I find all of these topics so interesting being from the US. I get most of my knowledge of the royals from TV, like The Crown. Well, I'm also enjoying The Crown. But of course, you have to realise there is still artistic license with The Crown. But nevertheless, I am still enjoying it. And I'm up to episode 6. And yes, if you want rubbish fake news, go to the top half on YouTube. Vinny Blair says, I think Harry feels the same way about Meghan as Charles feels about Camilla. They make the man feel loved and secure and harken back to a time past. Well, yes, I mean, we have to remember that even though the boys, William and Harry, had Camilla as a mother figure, had the Queen as a mother figure, they didn't have a mother. And I do think that probably in both of their lives, there is a little bit of them that might need a little bit of mothering. I don't think that's a bad thing to say or admit to. I think that's probably, you know, a little part of them that's true, a little need. And I think, you know, William and Harry both need strong women, stable women who can do that. And I think they've both managed to find the women that are up to the job. James Medford says, glad Her Majesty got off to Sandringham. She looked lovely in purple. She did. And of course, it was this time last year she had that very nasty cold. And she had to, her trip was delayed by a day or two, and she had to travel by helicopter. Excuse me. Jamie says, if I met the Queen, you'd curtsy too, and you're a male. Well, you could bow, or I mean, you can drop into a curtsy. I'm sure the Queen wouldn't mind. Jamie Grows Forever says, my own opinion is that I could never accept Camilla as Queen. I think the day she is declared Queen is the day the monarchy ends. I kind of disagree in a way. I think from an objective point of view, I think the day that we start picking and choosing who they are and what titles they have is the day that the monarchy ceases to be the monarchy, and it will give rise to Republicans who say, why not have a republic? You know, if the monarchy is not being a monarchy as we want it, then little quick tiara fix. If it's not being the monarchy, then why have them at all? So I do think it most definitely needs to be King Charles next. The order needs to be followed. And I do think that the wife of a king is a queen consort. So I think that has to happen. And if it doesn't, I think it will give rise to possibly the destruction of the monarchy, rather than her being queen consort being the destruction. I think not being queen consort will be the destruction, if you see what I mean. So I hope in a way I've kind of flipped that idea on its head, and I hope you can see where I'm coming from with that. I do think it is a very real threat. Jamie Grossfeld says, I assure you that I know how the monarchy works. If Camilla is queen, I think that the public will not be happy. She was declared as princess consort, not queen. It was only advisory that she was intended, the word was intent. It was intended that she would be princess consort. There hasn't been a law change to go with the intent. If they really did intend to make her princess consort, which is not a title that's ever been held by a British wife of a king, they've always been queen consorts, there would have to be a law change, and that hasn't happened. And given the Queen's age, I mean, let's hope the Queen lives as long as her mother and longer, but given the Queen's age, you know, you'd have thought they would have got the law change in just in case. They haven't. To me, that's a very strong clue that the intention is not going to happen, that she will stick to what the law is, and that is the wife of the king is a queen consort. And I don't think it matters one jot what the public think. It will go by what the law is, and that will be it. The public didn't like Anne Boleyn being Queen Consort, but she was. Of course, we know what happened to Anne Boleyn in the end, but I somehow don't think Charles is going to chop Camilla's head off. Okay, James Medford says the Canadian brooch, crossing fingers in 3 days that she'll wear it for the Christmas speech. I hope so too. I really, really, really hope so. And a happy Christmas to you too, James. Jamie thinks, Her Majesty the Queen rather, thinks I don't think it will be made much of an issue. Yes, by the way, we have two Jamies. HM Queen Elizabeth II is Jamie, our moderator, and we also have James Grows Forever. So sorry if some of you are getting confused. Odia says, I sure hope I see the new brooch from Canada. I'll be very disappointed if it doesn't make an appearance. Jamie Gross says, with Harry and Meghan, if it becomes like a soap opera, people will switch off. What's the point of having monarchy if they are like everyone else? I agree there. Betsy says, I would freeze and need to be led off by someone if I met the Queen. Jamie Gross says, I see where you're coming from, totally, Royal Reviewer, but the media will spin things and declare public outrage. It's not my opinion, it's how things will be manipulated. Definitely the press will be looking for outrage, and of course some sections of the public will probably show that outrage, and the media will probably report that outrage. But you know, let's not underestimate the power of people who may be supporting Camilla. Over the last week, in fact, I've had so many comments on the comment section of any Camilla video saying, just telling me that how much their opinions of Camilla have changed. You know, people saying that they never thought they'd be able to accept her, but actually they quite like her. I do think, again, we're going through another sea change with public opinion on Camilla. I do think that more and more people, the more they watch channels like this one that just put out the facts about what she does, the more and more people see what she does, and the more and more people like her. They see that she's warm, they see that she's friendly, they see that she's doing good work for different charities. They see that she's being strong for Charles to enable Charles to do his job and his role. So I think, you know, if people just look at the truth, then lots of people are coming round to Camilla, and I'm being told that in the comment section all the time. Let me know in the comment section of this video if your opinions have changed. Are they changing? Are you warming to Camilla? James Med 4 says, I agree on King Charles, but future monarchs should retire at a certain age. They do in Europe, but I don't think in Britain that would be palpable. You continue, the current Queen is such a great example of robust health. And certainly no criteria have yet been met to invoke a regency. Jamie says, because they provide stability, there are two parts of government, the efficient and the dignified. Efficient being the Commons and the dignified being monarchy. You can run a government with no dignity. Vinnie Blair says, exactly. Vinnie Blair says, so do you think Meghan was curtsying at the Christmas luncheon? She would have been with Prince Harry most of the time, so he would have told her what to do. I think she probably wouldn't when she was with Harry, but she may have wanted to do it if she met them on their own, possibly. You know, for example, if they made their way to the loo and, you know, Princess Eugenie was popping out, she may have dropped a little curtsy. But again, we'll never know. That is just pure speculation. Dominic says, am I a girl? Is who a girl? Me? Or Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, who is Jamie? Coast DJ says, just a different perspective. Some people here were speculating that Princess Michael's brooch was a Christmas brooch, one representing one of the three wise men. That's what you thought it was too. It could be. But I think if that had been the case, she perhaps would have said that. Possibly. Elizabeth England says, Happy Christmas. And Vicky P says, I wonder how Meghan did trying to remember everyone at the lunch. And of course, all their names. Okay, I'm back. I just had to pop off to sort out the remnants of my cold. I was struggling to speak, but I will persevere as I always do. Um, so let's get back to the comments. Where are we? Happy. Oh, Elizabeth England says Happy Christmas. Oh dear says the thing I like about Camilla is that she gets on with the job without drama. Jamie Gross says Camilla doesn't have a face for television like Diana did, but she seems to speak from her mind and hasn't done anything wrong. Jamie says, why are you confused of my gender? I wasn't confused of your gender. Was it Dominic? Dominic was questioning someone's gender. There you go. Elizabeth England sending me a snowflake and some hearts and a snowman. Thank you so much. Yes, black's green. It's gone now. Betsy says, what about Charlotte's preschool? Yes, I've already mentioned that. It is Wilcox in London, which is close to Kensington Palace. Jamie Gross says, you're in two minds about Princess Michael of Kent. You feel like she's a bit of a media grabber, so you're sceptical with her motives. James Ned 4 says, over the last 20 years, my Camilla feelings have changed a lot, even to my own surprise. You have always thought Prince of Wales has done an outstanding job. Won't 2019 mark the 50th anniversary of the Prince's Trust? I do believe it might. Megan says, I thought maybe the Poinsettia was back. I'm still getting older. I probably had a 2-week cold, so I'm still getting over it. And yes, the Poinsettia is still lurking. It's in the other room. It's back in the hallway, in the kitchen, where I usually film. Now, let me go through some of my notes, see if I've missed anything. I don't think I have, actually, so far. I think we've pretty much spoken. Prince Harry was elevated, promoted by the Queen to be Captain General of the Royal Marines. So he's taken over from his grandfather, Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, and he's taken over that captaincy of the Royal Marines. There was a photograph, I made a video of them all together, and of course Prince Philip doing the handover. And I think it's very fitting that Prince Harry got that role. Okay. Oh, and the video of Prince William galloping. He was at the Royal Variety Performance, which was filmed earlier last month, I think, actually, kind of mid last month. It's been about a month, kind of, I think. Anyway, it was only shown a few days ago, and I think it was Tuesday, actually. And at one point, the comedian and some children on the stage made a joke about Prince William. They asked him, would he gallop? And of course, galloping is a catchphrase of the comedian that was on stage. Prince William duly got up and galloped. Please watch that video. It warmed a lot of people's hearts. Lots of people took to Twitter to say how impressed they were that he did it. So I think that kind of changed a few people's opinions on William and kind of made him feel a little bit less formal. Let me know what you think about that. I spoke about my letter from the Queen, and I hope I get some more this week. I hope I get one more before Christmas. Then I can do an opening video. And of course, as I said, if I do go and check out my box, I will go and see that and do an opening video. And I've already said about that the next chat will be on the 6th of January, 2018. My goodness. Okay, Jamie says, I wish you all a very happy Christmas and a fruitfulness of 2018. Vinnie Blair says, Vicky P, I think Meghan Markle is thorough and businesslike. I think she studied all these royals while she was in Canada and knows them all by name. She may have looked up their names, possibly. James Ned 4 says, so Harry will ride a troop in the colour. It is possible. He has in previous years ridden in the carriage. with Camilla and Catherine. But it is possible now that he's a captain, Captain General of the Royal Marines, to ride on horseback, as does William. But again, we will have to wait and see, but it is most likely that he will ride in uniform. Vicky P says, Vinnie Blair, being an actress may help out a lot when trying to learn everyone's name. That is true. Jamie says, I tend to go around the house humming the music to your videos. I have a favourite, but since it's just music, I don't know what it's called. Well, yes, I use royalty-free music that you can get on iTunes. It's completely royalty-free. You can purchase the tune yourself and listen to it to your heart's content. Let me know later which one it is. Odia says a lot can happen between now and January the 6th. Should be a good chat then. It should indeed. And I will make lots of notes of things. Betsy says, thank you for the wonderful channel. Look forward to 2018. There may be some changes going forward with the channel. One of those changes is perhaps the format in which I deliver the videos. I am going to try a new experimental format, and we will see if it works. And in fact, if you will allow me now to do so, I am going to do a trial of it. And I've set something up. Do bear with me. This is completely experimental. So please bear with me if it goes wrong. So I'm going to do something which I've not done before, and we will see if it works. Okay, hang on just a second. Okay, I'm still just doing it. Okay, have I done it? Can you see something different? Okay, hopefully you can see something different. I'm just going to see if I can see a little preview of it, see if it's working. I think it is. So you should be able to see what I can see on my computer screen, and you should be able to still hear me. So I already preloaded up a page of the Girls of Great Britain tiara, so you could see how mine compares to the Queen's. And I'm going to first of all read you off Wikipedia a little bit of information about it. And this is a little bit like how the new format of videos will be. I'll be doing a lot more sort of news reviewing from the web. It's a new experimental style. We will see how it goes. So a little bit of information about the Queen's tiaras and jewels. But let's see what it says about the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. So it says the Queen's first tiara was a wedding present in 1947 from her grandmother Queen Mary, who received it as a gift from the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland in 1893 on the occasion of her marriage to the Duke of York, later George V. It was made by E. Wolfe & Co. and it was purchased from Garrard & Co. by a committee organised by Lady Eve Greville. And of course, this might be the same Lady Greville that left the Greville collection of jewels to the Queen Mother. And anyway, in 1914, Mary adapted the tiara to take 13 diamonds in place of the large oriental pearls found in the tiara. An author of a book has described it as a festoon and scroll with 9 large oriental pearls on diamond spikes and set on a base of alternate round lozenge collets between 2 plain bands of diamonds. At first, Elizabeth wore the tiara without its base and pearls, but the base was reattached in 1969. The Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara is one of Elizabeth's most recognisable pieces of jewellery due to its widespread use on British banknotes and coinage. It's also a personal favourite of the Queen because it's light, it's very lightweight. So it doesn't sort of press down on the head too much, and Diana always complained of headaches from tiaras, so the Queen doesn't get a headache from this tiara. Now I'm going to just look at some of the images, just so you can see how much alike this tiara is. So let's hope you can see that. Let's see if I can make it bigger. Okay, whoops. Oh no. Okay, can you see if I, oh, that's a highlight. So if I highlight that, and if I move closer, can you actually see that that is very, very similar? And I'm really hoping this is working and you're not just seeing a load of gobbledygook. So this is how I will be able to show you different things in a very different format. Again, you can kind of see the very similarities. And I'm going to go back now. Oh no, did I do it? Oh no, did I not press the present? Oh no, have I done it? Okay, let me know in the comments. Did I do it? Did it work? Because I think there was a button that said present to everyone and I didn't press it. Did it work? Did it work? Did it work? Did it work? First Mrs. R says it's working. Jen says Merry Christmas, Elliot. Betsy says yes, you see it. Well, I'm really glad. Jamie Gross says good night, everyone. By the way, I like the new format. Jamie says we can see your screen. Yes. Now click on YouTube and play God Save the Queen. Vinny Blair says Merry Christmas, see you in 2018. Nina says yes, it was beautiful. And Odia says you only saw the Wikipedia stuff. Oh. Well, let me just do one little more experiment. I'm just going to do one more experiment. Let's go back. Okay. I'm going to do this actually. Okay, can you see the chat window? For those of you who watch on catch up, this is the chat window. So you can see the comments which I read. And for those of you that never get to make it to a live chat, this is what I can see. So Nina says, yes, it was beautiful. Odin says, only saw the Wikipedia stuff. Diamond Dene says, we saw the tiara. Yes. Okay, I mean, I really am just experimenting with you guys. Okay, hang on. Okay, am I doing it now? Okay, what's happened? I've just pressed the presenting to everyone part. So I need to know now what that happens. Odia says, yes, I can see the chat window. We can see the chat window. It worked. Okay, I'm hoping that you can all see. Jamie says, can you experiment by playing God Save the Queen? Well, okay, let's have a look. Let me have a look. Stop. Okay. Okay. I'm going to go to. Okay, I'm going to go to YouTube. I hope you can all see this. Okay, here we go. But which one will it be? Should we try this one? Okay, can you all hear it? Can you see what I've got on the screen? Okay. It's definitely coming. It says it's going to be God Save the Queen. in my tiara type of thing. It's the long version. Okay, I'm going to have to turn the long version on. Okay. Right, well, I hope you could all see that. Okay, could you all see that? Let me know in the comment section. Fix this tiara. So, could you see the video? What could you see? The first result is I can hear it fine, but the screen is freaking me out. Odia says craziness on screen and music, lots of boxes. First result says it's like endless mirrors. Twilight Zone. There are infinite windows and they echo. Sound quality is awful. Oh no, what happened? I thought I'd stopped whatever that was. Oh no. Oh, well, perhaps I need to have a little bit more of a play and suss it out. And I may have to chop that little bit off the live chat that goes onto YouTube, just so it doesn't kind of freak everybody out. Jamie says we couldn't see it. Oh no, well, I need to learn how to do it. Hang on. Shall I try again? Let me try one more thing again. Okay, I promise to not try and freak you all out. Okay. Can you all see it now? Okay, is that okay? Betsy says she saw unicorns. Oh, you can see it now. Okay. Odia says, yes, take a look yourself. Not an improvement to the current chat. We enjoy. Let's see how it goes. Well, I need to do a lot of practice with it. You have been my guinea pigs. Okay, let me shut this one up. Okay, so that needs perfecting in how I do it. Of course, when I do it, it won't be live. It will be a recorded version, so any errors can get taken out. But do you think that that would add to the videos, being able to show you things off the internet, show you directly where news sources are from, compare news articles, and how different news styles are reporting the same article, being able to show you tweets, what people are saying about things live and scrolling through and discussing. It's an interesting new chat formula that I think might work, but we will have to wait and see. Lots of people saying the sound quality is dreadful. I am hoping to perhaps get something sorted over Christmas with the sound. What software? That is Hangouts on Air. Diamond Jane says, I like that kind of format. It's interesting. Jamie says it would add if you can play the audio of it. And of course, you have to watch with audio in case of copyright issues. First, Mrs. R says, I'd like it as long as it isn't too much for me. I will have to learn how to do it properly. Nina says, can we see your brooch, please? Is it the Queen? Yes. Can you see if I get a little bit closer? Hopefully you can see. I will take a photo and put that on Patreon though. Okay, so I am going to say goodbye here. It's been a fantastic Christmas chat. Lots and lots of discussion. Quite a lot of, adult topic, controversial topic, I suppose. But I think we all behaved as adults, so well done. Again, thank you so much for joining me. However often you have in the past year, I thank you so much for your support. It wouldn't have been the same year if I hadn't had my live chats and the Saturdays to look forward to connect with everyone how I have. So thank you so much for joining me. Please watch the Christmas message video, which goes live Christmas Day, 3 p.m. GMT. And I will see you back on Saturday, the 6th of January. So that's no chat next week. Back on the 6th. And I hope you all have a very happy and a very peaceful Christmas. So from me in Shropshire, goodbye.